we're taking a look at Kaiju Crush. Now this is a game where players will be monsters trying to destroy the city, wreak havoc, and reign supreme. The game itself is played until no player can legally move anymore, in which case we will be doing scoring. These tiles themselves have points on them. In addition, there will be bonuses over here, and these are random at the start of the game. On a player's turn, the first thing they're going to do is move. And when you move, you have the choice to either use the movement card in front of you or the communal card. If you use the one in front of you, then you will trade it out with the communal card, whereas if you use the communal card, you get to just leave it, thus keeping this one away from your opponents. On the cards themselves, there is the position where your monster starts, and then there is where they must end up. So if the blue player were to use the stomp card, he could either go here, 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 or here. The only rules about movement is that you must be able to complete the entire movement. You can't end on any of these territory cards unless it's one that's still being occupied. And that includes your own, and you can't end your turn on a park. If you do, however, end your movement on a park, you immediately take a second movement action using the two cards available to you once again. So in this case, the blue player decides to move here. Immediately, you will claim this tile that you go on and bring it in front of you for scoring and replace it with one of your territory cards. At this point, you'll also be able to engage in any battles if you were adjacent to another monster or you ended up on the same space as that monster itself. Battles are fairly simple. Let's say, for sake of argument, that the blue player was here. If you are adjacent, you can choose to battle. If you're on their space, you have to battle. At the start of the battle, the two players engaged in battle will draw 5 cards off of their top of their deck. And then they will each simultaneously select a card and flip it over. Now this is sort of a rock, paper, scissors sort of thing. And there are these 5 abilities. You have a fire breath, a claw, a tail, a leg, and a spikes. And they all beat each other in a fashion of the fire breath will beat all 3 of these, whereas all 3 of these will beat the spikes, and the spikes will beat the fire breath. You'll play through until somebody has won 3 of those matchups, or if it hits a tie, because in the event of a tie, you just continue on as well. If they hit tie, defender will win. If the attacker wins, however, then they will get to draw one of these tiles from here, which are victory points that you keep hidden and can look at the end of the game. If they're fighting over a territory spot and the attacker wins, they will also get to replace that territory spot with one of their own. And as I said, regardless, whoever wins the battle gets to take one of those, and those are between 1 and 3. The game continues round and round until all players have essentially been locked in place and can no longer move, in which case each player will add up the point values, all the city tiles that they have collected, and then they will score on these, such as this one where you'll get 1 point for each space in your largest connecting area of territory. So if this were the end, blue player here would just get 2 points. This one where we get fewest of a group of tiles, and that is based on the symbols on their tiles, which is why you'll keep them in scoring groups as you move along. This one, which will do 3 points for having 4 territory markers arranged diagonally from a center space. And then there is the D. Now D is not for scoring. D will do something throughout the game, such as Civil Servant here, where the player with the most tiles in this little people category will take this and hold it. While they are holding this card, every other player, including them, can treat their territory markers as parks. But if someone ever gets more of those tiles than them, then it passes, and if at any point the last of those is claimed, this card comes out of the game completely. In addition, each player will have a special ability card that will give them a once per game ability, such as here where we have a super speed where you can move 1 additional space when using stomp, dash, or charge. You'll add up all the points, and whoever has the most is the winner. So let's look at Kaiju Crush. Now, this is a lighter game, and even the theme, you're going around destroying this city and battling, it's presented in a very lighthearted fashion. The game itself doesn't employ anything new here, but rather a collection of mechanisms we've seen in other games, such as the movement is reminiscent of the way movement is handled in a game like Onitama. The theme, obviously, is immediately going to make you think of something like King of Tokyo. So while nothing in this game feels new, it works really cohesively together, and I found that I really enjoyed it. The game has a lot of replayability because the board itself is set up randomly every time. I also really did enjoy the unique spin on the rock, paper, scissors mechanism, in that it's not just a straight this beats this, this beats this, this beats this. You have this one thing that can beat 3 other cards. Those 3 can beat one other card, and then that card can beat the other card, and then within that you have the standard rock, paper, scissors, or rather in this case, claw, tail, and legs. That adds another little layer into the game, in that the battles aren't deterministic, but you're really trying to read your opponent during it, and I really did find that I enjoyed the way that all worked together. The artwork and components of the game are appropriate to the theme and the game itself. I know some people are probably going to look at it and wonder why weren't the monsters miniatures, and honestly, it didn't bother me they were standees. I think that the game itself is light enough that the miniatures would have added to the cost in a way that would have been disproportionate to the level of gameplay. Overall, if you're looking for a lighter game that's not quite a filler, but not quite your whole night either, I believe this game comes in about 45 minutes, this is a game you're going to want to take a look at if the theme also appeals to you. This I could easily see fitting into my gateway game collection. I hope this has given you a good idea of whether or not Kaiju Crush might be a good game for you and your group, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.